3, 2, 5, 1, and action. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chat 10 Sports where we are here together.
Coming at you live.
This is not green screen. This is real. It's like,
Look at this. Look at us.
we are real together. Coming to you from Mikasa tonight. We are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Beautiful weather today. A little bit chilly.
A little bit chilly.
Ready for some spring weather. But folks, we have a ton to talk about. Our timeline is set. It is absolute mayhem with the free agency in the NFL right now. And if you're watching with us, stay tuned. Chase has some topics over here which we'll cover. And we do want to invite you. Be sure to share the show. But thank you for joining us and enjoy this episode of Chat 10 Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chat 10 Sports, where we're talking all things Tennessee sports and everything in between. If you're watching us from Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, we do invite you to chat with us live, so make sure and keep that thing live. And if you're listening to us, be sure to follow, subscribe, rate the show, and if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications. But folks, with that said, without further ado, let's jump into a brand new episode of Chat 10 Sports.
Bingo
bongo, folks. We're over here sharing the show on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, everywhere tonight. We're also on YouTube, so in case you're watching with us, be sure to like, subscribe, do all those good things, and do this for us, guys. Light up the chat as usual. Our guy Steven Snyder coming in. I'm going to change our little look here because that's our usual look, but Steven Snyder is here on point. So join us in the chat in case you're watching with us. We will be discussing all things Tennessee Titans. Obviously, March Madness is beginning, so Chase will give us the full download with the Vols. We're going to talk some Alabama, some controversy. We don't want to get too heated, too hot, but bring your takes. Gavin Jones checking in with us. Chase Green, ¿Cómo estás, este noche, hermano?
You know don't speak Spanish, Baxter.
You bastard. How you doing, brother?
Dude, we're great, man. It's good to be back in Tennessee for a couple days. As we were talking about earlier, I feel like when you come back home for a short amount of time, you spread yourself so thin. You're like, man, I can't wait to get that family time in. But then all reality hits and you're like, oh my gosh, I have 9 people
Waiting
to go. Yeah. To go eat dinner with. We got a podcast. Yeah. And you're trying to go to the office and you're like, man, I'm staying on the mountain with the fam. It's like, it's a lot, but it's great. It's good to be here podcasting together. I miss it.
I know, man. We haven't done this in a while. Through the pandemic, obviously, we had that stuff, but even prior to, it's nice to be back here. But tonight, folks, I want to talk about a lot of things with, and where do you want to start, Chase? Because we could go several places.
Gosh, I mean, I know people are like, man, there's a lull here during this time because there's not actual games, but NFL free agency is turning into like kind of like the NBA free agency a little bit. Like it's maddening.
It is.
Like there's new updates. I don't feel like until the last 4 or 5 years, people moved as much in the NFL. Do you feel like, I feel like there might've been some small moves, but I don't feel like there was the same volume.
No, but I don't know if you're talking about him particularly, but who comes to mind is Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Going to South Beach. He's on the move. And I tell you what, it's crazy. I'm going to pull up Spo Track here while we're talking, but the amount of money the Dolphins have had, the amount of the Bears have had, they've made some big splash moves in the last 2 days. Day one, not as eventful for the Titans.
No.
Obviously, minor news, nothing crazy, but then day 2 began. And even later from day 1, I mean, it feels like it's been a week, but we've only been riding this train for the last 48 hours, really, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but all that to say, you can see on our graphic here, we have some new additions with Andre Dillard. We've got, what's his name? Arden Key coming from the Jaguars. Big. I've seen a ton of Jaguar fans complaining about the loss of him. We know him well because old Dennis Daly was bull rushed into the floor. So he's back. Now, my question is, and I have a question mark over Andre Dillard's shoulder there, because we don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to play left tackle? Is he going to play left guard? Are they going to draft Paris Johnson Jr.? Chase, so far, just give me your thoughts as far as Titans free agency in what you've seen this far.
Very good depth pickup, because getting Landry back is another part that you don't get talked about. It doesn't get talked about enough, I feel like. And so now when you bring in Key, you have another person that's just super explosive. Like that's going to be fun. I don't know what he is like play in, play out but the explosive high ceiling part of it is incredible, especially because he's gonna get so many one-on-ones, especially if Autry, Simmons, and Landry are your key guys. No pun intended. Then you're gonna be fine.
You had
I
it planned
really,
the whole time.
especially with the offensive line now, you're getting a guy that's gonna be versatile. Did you see Herndon's tweet about him today?
About Andre Dillard?
Yeah. It kind of gave a good representation. He's like, at the ceiling, you're getting somebody that's going to be a pretty good starter. We're not getting, this is not a home run hit, but it's a double possibly. We'll take doubles.
We do take doubles.
And
because that is Moneyball.
Yeah. And so at the low end, you're getting a bulk. And that is a guy that can be a good, solid rotation guy for your offensive line that hopefully gets bolstered. And if it does, and he's your rotation guy, you feel pretty good, right?
For sure. I mean, I do think at the amount of money they're paying him, if it's an annual breakdown, if it's like $9.6 million, I think it is over the 3 years, that's guardish money. That's also kind of backup left tackle, swing tackle, because in my perspective, and even today with the Titans put a second round tender on Aaron Brewer as well as T.R. Tart. Which, I mean, for all those, I had to kind of clarify on some things. That basically means that if anyone were to offer those players contracts, the Titans would obviously have the choice to match that. And if they did not match that and Brewer went on, that team that's signing him would then owe the Titans a second-round pick at that, since that's the tender they are putting on him.
I did not know that part.
So it's weird. It's one of those, I'm like, let me Google this and YouTube it for a few minutes, but got some clarity on that. But all that to say, Brewer is to be the guy. It looks to be that way, that Aaron Brewer will be that guy where if you were to put Andre Dillard at left guard, draft Paris Johnson Jr. for left tackle for the next decade, it's one of those things. You have the versatility that was previously. Now the collaboration is the hot word. Versatility was a big thing for John Robinson with offensive linemen to be able to play several spots. So Dillard has been able to do that.
Yeah, but John Robinson didn't hit on that part.
Yeah, it didn't come through on that backside. But what you're seeing, I think, at the amount of money they're paying per player, like Arden Key's about $7 million per year average. What's his name? Daniel Brunskill sounds like a freaking like wrestler just waiting to come out and take your head off. But he's a great offensive lineman. That's I'm looking on Twitter right now where he's basically handling a guy by the name, what is his name? Aaron Donald.
Yeah. I think you know that.
Cool,
yeah.
Thanks.
He's all right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he looks to be doing pretty well pulling and kind of on his reach block technique there. But yeah, it's one of those things. It looks to me, Chase, Tannehill's staying, Derrick Henry's staying. If you're seeing Darren Waller, or going for
fifth round pick.
Third, I think it was a third round pick. I was wrong on my tweet because
okay, I saw your tweet.
Stephon Gilmore went for a fifth.
False reporting.
My bad. But Stephon Gilmore went for a fifth, and he went for a third. And I'm like, what is Derrick Henry going to be going for?
Yeah,
right.
It can't be that high.
I wouldn't give him up now. And all the money stuff that I've set aside, it's like if you have the ability, which they're making effective moves to get the offensive line right, run the damn ball. Like just put the foot on the throttle.
Yeah, because we're looking at a 1 year maximize his potential. I mean, and I think that's the smart play if you're seeing the market correct itself a little bit. I think the quarterback market lowered. I mean, obviously you can't make huge moves down. And Geno had a career year, but I think if that happened a year or two ago, he would have got paid more. This market's correcting itself in a sense. It's incredibly high numbers to us lay folks, but to the market, it's not outrageous. So this market's correcting itself a little bit from some really, really, really bad contracts. Deshaun's to be seen, and Murray, and we're talking about the quarterbacks only. Murray is still to be seen, but Gilmore's a guy who had a really, really great year, who was elite, who's aging, still has a lot of potential. Waller's a guy that sounds like he got really mad, and he and Mike McDaniels are just not getting along because Mike McDaniels came out and was the one that spilled the beans on his wedding with Kelsey Plum.
Yeah.
Which also, if you listen to Barstool today, I might throw in the towel here and say, hey, I don't care when that child's born, I want to give that kid a scholarship. You're talking about a WNBA star,
tall,
and one of the best athletes to ever play the tight end position. I want it.
Yeah. Put some stock on that one. Hey, Jim Lacey is here with us from Facebook saying on the Titans offensive line ads are more pass blockers than run blockers because, and we have yet to see what this is going to be, Chase, because new regime, are we tweaking this thing where we're getting away from such a run heavy, 52% run heavy offense and going more pass scheme? Because if Jim Lacey is correct here, which I believe he is, more pass blockers. These guys are athletes, and this is the kicker too about Aaron Brewer. Zach Lyons of F Words Pods on Twitter, you can find him there, and then Mike Herndon, Mike Herndon as well. We're talking today on F Words Pods basically about the athleticism of centers and why Aaron Brewer, although he's small, you could get a left guard, whether it's free agency, although I think they're kind of done spending at this point. You could probably draft somebody as a left guard and just help Aaron Brewer inside as much as possible. I just think, man, from what I've seen from Paris Johnson Jr., because I did want to get to Gavin's question on Facebook. With the pickup of Andre Dillard, I'm questioning where we're going to go with 11. So, Chase, right now, seeing the table as it's set, how would you pick at number 11 overall? Or what would you do at 11? Would you stay? Would you drop back? And come this way a little bit for
I'm coming in. Yeah, I feel like with Paris, that is a monster. I don't know if it's going to flow. I mean, he is a pretty good athlete. I don't know if it's going to flow with the exact combination of guys they want. I don't know if he'll be there because he's another one up front. There's so many guys now, and with changes, there could be is Skornowski. I think he is actually listed ahead of.
Yeah, they're
so I don't know. I do feel like they should. I think they should go tackle if both of them are there, if one's there. But if you lose, I'm definitely more of a Paris Johnson fan. I think that Skornowski kind of graded better for like a guard.
Skoronski.
That's what. Yeah, sorry. He graded better for a guard. It wasn't unbelievable, but Paris was just a freak, man, and it's hard to pass up on freak athletes that are also really good at their position. I think you should go Paris, but if he's gone, I do think you should trade back and just start collecting some picks.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
I mean, if I had my choice right now, it would be Paris Johnson Jr. And I think he is a dude. I know some people have some question marks on him as far as, the full game and being a complete offensive tackle. And I think too, I mean, coming away, out of the Lewan era where he was such an athlete. I mean, this guy's going to be a mauler. He's going to be a dude who can draw back and pass plays and things like that. But it's going to be, I don't think you have to completely abandon the run like some people just want to be.
No, that's not who the Titans are going to be.
Right. But I mean, whether it's Skoronski or Johnson Jr. or even like Gavin was saying here, if they're to trade back and find Broderick Jones late, I mean, that's something that you have so many options that pick becomes very valuable because even today, I mean, obviously the Panthers jumping up to number 1. The Colts want to get up there and grab somebody. What are the Cardinals going to do? But if there's absolute mayhem in the top 5 to 8 picks or whatever, and the Titans are just sitting there, because even if Paris Johnson Jr. goes to the Raiders per se, and then Skoronski's there, and you're content and think, hey, we could fall back and go Broderick Jones, you got options. Or if, I don't know, one of the receivers falls because the receiver market is drying up, bro. But there's several options, but here's what I like about the options with Skoronski versus Johnson Jr. Andre Dillard is that player, and this is what makes me intrigued with Rand Carthon. There's a lot of study going into these picks, into these signings, where they're, you're seeing more impactful play and more bang for your buck, where he's on a kind of starter deal or a restart deal. I think Paul Kaharski is what he called it.
Yep.
The guy's been injured. Obviously, Jordan Mailata came in, beat him out, which nobody saw coming on a crazy 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
Becoming now your annual starter for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he's got a great future ahead of him.
So I don't think it was a thing that he was hurt and just lost his job. I think it was one of those things that a guy was having success and kind of got eclipsed.
Yeah.
But he could come here and earn a job pretty quickly.
He could. If you trade back and you go get, let's say it is Broderick Jones. I mean, and you're going to get a lot actually for that 11th pick. It depends on who wants it. I mean, because like you mentioned, if somebody does want to move up and it is still Paris Johnson, but once again, we're not in those rooms. If you trade back, you still want to, and please pop this into comments. Like, what would you want out of that? Do you want another lineman and wide receiver? Is that what your hopes and dreams are out of this? Like, if you were to trade back, what do you want out of it? Is that something you want to get that tackle late and then a wide receiver a little bit earlier? Or do you want a corner? What are you guys wanting out of that?
Yeah, I want to throw that up because I know Titans Torch has a comment on YouTube. I would love to see him trade back and load up and trust Rand and filling out the depth. So again, if you're watching, fill it in there and throw your comments out. I've got an actual simulator going on as far as a mock draft, and I think 11 could be a very valuable pick. Obviously, I think the quarterback situation. Do you think the window's closed? I mean, I think Tannehill's our guy, right?
Yeah, Tannehill's our guy, unless I'm missing something. But I mean, you're looking at it this way, and all these mock drafts are different, and like the wide receivers in this draft are pretty good. Like if you believe in Quentin Johnson, and you're hearing rumors, somebody might move up for him. Somebody might move up for Bijan. But I don't know how Bijan is because it's still the running back first round thing. It doesn't always work out. Yeah. So
Zeke got cut today, so that kind of
speaks
to that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do want to say the three teams where it's a low. I mean, I'm talking like sliver of I'm talking Harry or Lloyd Christmas saying you're telling me there's a chance type of chance. Where there's the Buccaneers who just brought in Baker Mayfield.
Oh God.
The Commanders who just have Sam Howell, and they brought in
Jacoby
Brissett.
Yep.
And then there was
Jacoby Briskets.
One other team. It'll come to me in just a second. There are options if the Titans wanted to say drop down and take a fourth for Tannehill and not have to cut him, because there is still a chance they could just cut him and save half of his contract for this year and then go out and buy some more money and get one of these, Will Levis. Nobody wants that guy, as far as this camp. Yeah. As far as this camp. But then you have other options because, like we've said right here on our mock draft, Paris Johnson Jr. is there. It's a safe pick. I think he's great. But let's look at the comments, Chase. I see Gavin coming in. I'd love to trade back and pick up a second for this year. Draft Broderick first, then Keyshawn and Boutte, or possibly Hyatt or Ringo.
Oh, I don't know. Ringo's another one where I don't know if he's gonna. He's somebody I feel like it's gonna slide up there. He is going to be really tough because, I mean, I don't think you could go too far back. Corners are just still so valuable. And Ringo had a pretty good – he's probably going to have a great pro day. He's a freak. And it does feel like Georgia guys pay off, especially right now.
I was getting into a conversation today about a Georgia guy that didn't pan out, and his name was Panda, because Jalen Carter today – had a pro day that did not go very well for him, was cramping up and looking over or out of breath and couldn't complete some of his individual drills. But
he had a great combat. I think he's going to be all right.
You think so? Because some people are saying this guy's, responsible for, I know we're going to talk about, what's his name? Brandon
Broderick.
No, the Bama player here that's got some controversy.
Brandon Miller.
But obviously Jalen Carter tied to some racing and some fatality. I mean, a player, a teammate.
Yeah. So,
but how much is that going to impact his stock, you think?
Not a lot, honestly. No, it doesn't matter at this point.
I got people in my mentions out here saying this guy will be lucky to get to the first few rounds. And I'm telling you, if the Titans, here's the thing: if the Titans don't want to pay Jeffrey Simmons and Jalen Carter is sitting there at 11, would you pull the trigger on a deal to move? And basically Treylon Burks and A.J. Brown in this situation again?
Oof. I would hate that, to be honest with you.
You're saying you'd hate the outcome or you'd hate the choice?
I would hate the choice. Jeff is so good. Oh, that would break my heart if
How
we did.
bad was his ankle last year? Was it really hurt? Was it
Yeah.
he's a big dude, and big guys with lower extremity injuries, they don't come back
Yeah,
good.
I just can't. I
All
can't
these
buy that.
thoughts could be going through your head as a GM.
He is a proven commodity, and he ain't old. He can bounce back, but man, Jalen Carter he's pretty special. He's not my number one guy, but he's a very special talent. But there's so many things you can get. I really do feel like that's pretty deep draft. I feel like you can find some guys later on. But I sure hope they don't miss out on Simmons. That would be heartbreaking.
You're saying just letting him go?
Yeah. They can't, especially now, especially when you're looking at the way they're drafting and getting free agents. Like, I mean, not drafting, but I guess getting in free agents and like what you're looking at in the draft. You're only 11. You're not going to find. Like Jeffrey Simmons was a blessing because of his knee injury, and that stupid allegation they made. That was the worst NFL draft, by the way.
Well, that was the Music City Nashville draft.
It was a great draft in the city of Nashville, but it was a bad draft on TV because you're like, this is insulting the whole time. You're like, dude, just let this guy have his day. You can run your hit pieces tomorrow.
But they had it squared up and lined up, and I guarantee they're going to have something very similar for Jalen Carter.
I don't know. I think they got a lot of heat for that.
Well,
so I don't know if they're going to do that again. Because they read a lot of hit pieces and just depressing stories. It's like, hey, we got enough sad here. We ran through all this stuff. We're good with the sad part.
Yeah. Well, I want to shout out everybody jumping in for the comments as far as throwing out their options for Gavin coming back, saying Jalen Carter is Laramie Tunsil 2.0. In case you don't remember, Laramie Tunsil had a nice little what was it, a goggle, some type of contraption on his head one day, right before the draft was released, and he dropped down. What was it, to the Dolphins?
Yep.
Who ended up trading him. Very talented guy, but could have a big red flag. Obviously, he also had some other issues as far as character questions.
Yeah.
Well, who was it? Herb Street, or was it Todd McShay? I think it was Todd McShay that put out some type of question mark on his character or whatnot. But but yeah, that was several years ago. So we'll see if Jalen Carter drops. I tend to agree. I don't think it's going to affect his stock. And if he was there at 11.
And if your guys are already gone,
if all your offensive lineman options, I mean, I think you could. I'm thinking of like edge rushers where there's the Van Ness guy from Iowa. He could be there.
What's your boy from Clemson? Scroll up there. What's his name? I'm just blanking here. I mean, Tyree Wilson's gone, but I mean, there's a guy from Clemson. Everybody knows his name. I'm blanking.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I don't think you want to go reach at 11, but he's still very good.
You're thinking of Murphy.
Oh yeah. I don't think you're moving up to get that, but that'll be a good pickup for the Falcons. That's where they got a lot of them going.
Well, here's the thing, because Danico Autry is going to go at some point, right?
I mean, yeah. What do you think? Like 2 years, probably before even if he stays, it's like a decline after that.
At best, 2 years at best.
Okay.
And it's all the hypothetical. I'm pushing hard for Paris Johnson Jr. or Skoronski. Offensive line all the way, because if we are going to have Derrick Henry one more year, milk that puppy for all he's worth. But Jalen Carter's there.
Okay.
Arden Key comes in.
Okay.
Harold Landry's coming back from injury, right? Autry, Simmons. That is a terrifying defensive front.
You just got to be okay in the secondary.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the thing. Like they are mediocre in as of today. Now, if they go through a whole draft class, I'm sure we're looking at a cornerback. It's one of the top needs, I think, and obviously linebacker there as well, which they've addressed some. Aziz Al-Shair coming in from San Francisco.
Also, speaking of that, shout out to Paul Kuharski for sending out the first tweet of
how to pronounce his name.
The pronunciation was a big thing. I was like, I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. As somebody put in the comments, thank you for doing the Lord's work.
Doing the Lord's work, like Joey Swole out here.
Yeah, I do want to ask you something else too.
Mm-hmm.
So the tackles are gone. Tackles, quarterbacks, edge rushers. Those are your main guys up front. We're sitting there at 11, and I mean, obviously not the greatest championship game ever, but great season. And like somebody like Quentin Johnson, wide receiver. Would you want another wide receiver if we don't get anybody in free agency. Would you want that, or would you just rather trade back and find somebody later on?
Well, because
the wide receiver group that we have right now is tough to look at.
Well, in case anyone missed the news today, Nicholas NWI and Cody Hollister both, neither one of them tendered, as they say in this point of this juncture, since they would both be with the team for more than 3 years. Gives the Titans a chance to kind of tag them with a tendering or whatnot, but the Titans did not do that. And I think there was some conversation about NWI rejecting some type of offer from the Titans, and he wanted to test the market.
Yep.
I don't know that he has a market per se, but all that to say, I think the Titans are in desperate need for a wide receiver, which does make me think offensive line, again, my top preference, but Quentin Johnston there, big body guy, right?
Yeah.
You can pair well who, if you're going to keep even if it's a stable of running back, running attack, having a big body receiver is not going to hurt.
No, and young.
Yeah. And that's the big kicker too, because this wide receiver market, everyone's going for, Juju Smith-Schuster went today. Jacoby Meyer went yesterday. Everyone's going for roughly 9 to 11 million years. Excuse me. What am I saying? 9 to 11 million a year.
Yeah.
On their contracts. So I don't think the Titans want to pay that kind of money for a wide receiver, especially
somebody that's going to be a low end number 2.
Right. But here's the other side of that coin. You don't have anybody in that wide receiver room that's been in the league for more than a year or 2 years.
Yeah. Is McMath your oldest guy?
That's
probably
panic button material is what what you just said. That's bad. And yeah, I think if you're sitting there, even Jackson Smith, say his name for me.
Jackson Smith Njigba.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you get a little dicey.
I'm trying to think, because there have been people that say take Bijan Robinson if you're able to move.
If you do move
from Henry,
yeah,
which
honestly,
shout out to a different running back. I would eat that up all day,
because also the running back market. Looking at it today, like you could get somebody.
You got a lot of options.
Like Kareem Hunt's out there.
Well, Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, Deontay Foreman. If you get a young guy but once again, I do not know the running back market in the draft well enough to tell you like this is the guy. But I will say, Rand was a part of the group that found Elijah Mitchell out of Louisiana. I know all those aren't his picks, but he was a heavy part, and now it's been established. He was a heavy part of late round picks with San Francisco. I know we've all said this 15 million times on every podcast you've ever heard talking about the Titans. But Elijah Mitchell, if you can find those guys later, hopefully that would be worked out great, because I don't know if our running back room outside Derek's wonderful enough to keep me going. So.
Yeah, right now I think they've still got. There's a lot of holes, and I've seen on Twitter. I'm trying to see if I can find it. There's actually a really good laid out kind of roster depth chart look where you're going to see, what the projection is of how they can answer it. But with all that said, Chase, I do want to say, like, Rand Carthon is intriguing me with some of these picks. He's not coming out the gate. He's not dropping a ton of cash. It's not.
Yeah.
Some of these other teams that do have the money are overspending. These guys have potential, but I'm very pleased so far. So, not to talk Titans all night. I know we can move on to other free agent topics as well, and then we want to get to March Madness and kind of talk Vols. What are our expectations there, and how do they get past Louisiana? But to go, any last topics as far as Titans and what they've done, or what you'd like to see them do here?
No, it's still a little early. There's still wide receivers, running backs, things like that out there. We're going to find different moves, but. Pleased so far. Nothing crazy, but pleased with depth.
Yeah.
If you will. Rodgers. You want to talk about Rodgers first? He's going to the Jets, buddy.
Is it official, or is it?
No, they're still working out some negotiations, he said.
Gotcha. I am thankful for that news, just because I'm ready to put it to bed, and I think I don't know. It's a weird, awkward divorce between he and the Packers, right? Like, we will have you if you want.
Yeah.
But he seems like he wants to be at least perceived to be in complete control, because even today they put this big laundry list of not demands, but requests, I think, that he put out to get Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, several other players that they could pursue, which they did sign Alan Lazard. But Chase, I'm tired of this man because here's the thing. I think the deal in place in theory is a 3-year deal. I don't understand why they would offer him something like that. For the sake, we're going to be back around next year for the same old kid and caboodle where I'll be back from the darkness retreat. And then on the Monday after, we'll have Aubrey Marcus, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
And then we'll play stupid. And then we'll call out the media and say, why are you saying these wrong things while going on Pat McAfee and then trying, this guy's a clown to me.
It's going to be a lot in the New York market, don't you think?
Well, I think he will play that like a skilled Game of Thrones, Lannister, if you will.
If they start to lose, I think it could really get to him. I hate to say that, but I don't think they will actually. That's just a part of the factor. It could happen, but I really do think when you add Garrett Wilson, you get what's the running back? Breece Hall.
Yep.
Breece Hall. If you could get Breece back healthy and as close as he was to last year, decent offensive line, top 5 defense in DVOA. Dude, it's a good roster because Lazard's a good number 2. A good number 2. Randall must be just a locker room guy. I mean, I guess Corey Davis is
basically all but gone.
Yeah, all but gone. They'll pick up somebody else. If Rodgers is going there,
Zach Wilson.
Uzama's still there. Like, it's not a bad roster.
No, and the defensive side of it too is Salah. I mean, it's going to be, CJ Mosley in the middle there, and Quincy Williams, Quinnen Williams' brother. They're going through a contract negotiation right now. Quinnen's up for a contract along with our guy Jeff Simmons. So it's all like, I mean, they are in the making. And Sauce Gardner on the backside,
former North Carolina quarterback Chaz Surratt's there. He was
like a
quarterback. He started out as their quarterback. Freak athlete, terrible thrower. Love Chaz, but Chaz wound up being switched to linebacker his senior year. And
interesting move.
Wound up becoming 120 tackle guy. He's an incredible athlete.
Well,
incredible athlete, but just not a great thrower as a quarterback.
That's a pretty solid linebacker crew if he's in mixed company.
Super athletic. I mean, CJ's great. I mean, Chaz is not the top 6 of those guys, but he is a good guy to have. Freak athlete, big, pretty smart guy.
Well, yeah. Here's my thing. Roster, Breece Hall, if he's coming back and he's ready to go, if he's got the Lazard receiver coming in, pieces are there.
Mm-hmm.
However, money factor, compensation as far as draft capital, because rumor right now is that the Packers want 2 first-round picks for him.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous given what you're going to – I mean, you're realistically giving a year for all of this.
Yeah.
And you're going to give up part of your future. I genuinely don't think, and maybe, whatever the deal is, I don't think this goes past a year.
If it goes somewhat south, like, I hope none of this happens, but I'm just saying, like, there is possibilities because look at last year. Getting Russ to the 49ers, or the 49ers, the Broncos,
that's right.
You thought, you're like, man, like that roster is so good.
Mm-hmm.
All they needed was a good quarterback. And I think Rodgers is better than Russell, but it's still the same factor of like, let's see what happens when one thing goes wrong. What if Breece can't play well enough? Like, what if
he gets hurt?
What if he gets hurt again?
Mm-hmm.
What if 2 or 3 guys in that defense get hurt again? And then it happens early, and it's just a snowball effect of Rodgers is losing games, and you're still in a tough division. Like, you're still going to have to go through Bill. You're still going to have to go through the Bills. Obviously, you're still going to have to get Miami. Like, that's a tough division. Like,
Miami's getting better by the day,
and they're getting better. And if Tua stays healthy, that's a really good offense, and it's still a really good team. And it's going to get real nasty for him, and he may play that like a fiddle for a while. But you're talking like week 14 or 15, they're battling for a wild card, and he's doing all he can, and maybe they lose one. The New York media's just hammering you home.
And then what?
Then we're back to the same damn spot of him being like, I don't know. We'll have to see about next year. It's been really hard because
My mental space is not great right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And I got to get in the darkness again. And
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same carousel. And I feel like it's one of those things they know and they are so desperate. Because you got to think the last competitive quarterback for them, playoff quarterback, was Mark Sanchez, Chad Pennington. This is the best. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback they've had.
And they finished last in their division 7 out of the last 8 years. And they only finished third in the one they didn't.
Yeah, that's sad. And it feels like they are so desperate for the prettiest girl they can find. And they're willing to just do whatever it costs, whatever it takes. And it's a little desperate for me. It's desperate for the sake of, like, I don't know. A lot of Titans fans were calling for Rodgers. I just don't want to pay that, even if the Titans were in a situation where the roster wasn't in shambles and the cap wasn't so tight. No thanks.
Yeah,
no
it's
thanks.
a lot. It's a lot.
Next topic, Chase. Hit me with some March Madness. What are you thinking? How you feeling?
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I love this week. Your boy put $25 in the FanDuel account last night just to get a little taste.
Get a little spicy.
And we went 2 for 2, two $10 single parlays. Texas A&M Corpus Christi shout out. Big time cover. That's why you wait till you get to 3.5, not the 4. They win by 4. Big win last night. Pitt money line hit. They won by 1. Big night last night. Parlayed that with the $5. So we're up. So we got a little money to play for tomorrow. This is a really exciting tournament because it does feel wide open, even though it's probably not that wide open. If you look at all the fun numbers, your upsets are going to happen. Weirdly enough, the 4-13 is not a huge upset factor, but people love picking against Tennessee for some reason because we're without Ziegler. And I get that. I see the problems here, but they've also had some really good offensive outings. Losing, yes, on some of them, but they've had some really good offensive outings without him. There's some good matchups here. I know we talked about it before. The big guys are going to have to play well. And Vescovi's going to have to be a stud throughout this whole tournament if they're going to survive. Potential Duke matchup. I don't know how I feel about Duke because they win an ACC, but that's not a great call this year because ACC was really bad. Then again, I could also see like 4 of the teams getting to the Final Four or the Elite 8. So I don't know. It's kind of a wild year. There's some really good up top teams, but they're vulnerable in spots. Bama's one of those teams. They have the best player in the country, and Brandon Miller, who is on our graphic,
which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep. And Houston has some flaws that, they're not big. So if they match up against, they go against a big team, then they get beat a little bit inside. And if Sasser and them aren't healthy, then who knows? I don't know. It's become so popular now to pick these upsets and everybody's got all this data that it doesn't feel as easy to find the miracle on ice,
Yeah. And obviously I've told this to the crowd before. I mean, I'm going to be looking for matchups that are black and white. I mean, obviously you're going to be praying that you can hit on some of these bets like Chase is talking about. But for the Vols, I know for me, my interest is not – I mean, I legitimately am thinking first round out.
It's tough.
Like, you haven't shown me enough. And I know we talked. They got to do what they got to do in the sense they know how to play good defense. Like you mentioned, big guys got to play big. But Vescovi has to be that guy to – am I saying his name right? Vescovi.
But it's fine. He doesn't care.
Tomato.
Once again, that he does not care.
It's Trey.
Yeah.
But some people call me Tress, and it doesn't bother me because some people want to be cool about it. Some people want to be, I don't know. Vescovi, I think he has a huge part to play. But then again, some folks, the Rick Barnes side of this, I don't think there's much conversation when it should be like, hey, this coach is going to help us get a win.
Yeah.
Your players are down. Like you said, Ziegler's out with the tear. Rick Barnes is just like, over there kind of just hoping for the best. But is there any – am I wrong on Rick Barnes there? Is it just like there's no pulse as far as believing he can get this team over the hump?
At the beginning of the year, this should have been the team that made it pretty far. Once again, March was tough. You lose to a tough Missouri team. It's a bad matchup for you. Do you want me to give you like a path to a Final Four for Tennessee? Or do you want me to just sell you on making it out of the first weekend.
Yeah, let's start there because I think if they do make it out, I think we could touch back next week and you can continue the saga.
Okay. So how you beat this team in Louisiana. Louisiana's got a guy named Jordan Brown. And if you've read anything about him, he's one of those guys that was an All-American. McDonald's All-American in 2018. Big guy, 6'11", pretty good South fellow, 230, can really move, first team all-conference. He's got it all. He used to play for Nevada when he first came in. Really good guy. Made it to an NCAA tournament there, so he's got experience. Mm-hmm. He is also somebody that was the sixth man of the year in the Pac-12 with Arizona, and now he's down to Louisiana making all-conference teams. Your boy's a double-double machine. Our big guys are going to have to really work. Adu's going to have a lot of work to do. They got a guard named Williams. He averages about 13 points a game. He is somebody who can get a bucket. But it's really all about Jordan Brown. And if they can slow him down, they're going to be just fine. I think Tennessee's defense swallows you up enough. They're going to have a hard time scoring against Tennessee overall. And if you make it past the first one, weirdly enough, I think there's a play. Duke's playing really well. Mm-hmm. But Oral Roberts is a good team, and they're better than they were last year. There is a first round exit potential for Tennessee, and there's a first round exit potential for Duke. Oral Roberts is really good, high volume shooting threes. They're going to knock down buckets. But if Tennessee gets Duke, the game you can refer back to is a little bit like Arizona. Filipowski is similar to the big fella. Again, it's a correlation. It's like you have a big white dude that can take it off the dribble and play. And that's where Adu got in a lot of trouble. So we'll see how that matchup goes. But there are ways for Tennessee to get past Duke if they just swallow Filipowski up and keep the guards in check. So that's how they can get out, is if that defense continues to do what it does. But Tennessee has to make shots. These offensive droughts, like you look back in that Missouri game and you look back at the last part of the Auburn game, they're like 6 minutes in game time of droughts. That's like 15, 20 minutes in real time of no scoring.
That's why the whole theory of them going to the Final Four, I'm just like, bro, you're wasting your breath at this point. And in my limited, like, straight up fandom as a basketball fan, I'm not that dude. But look on the outside and knowing the basics, like I've watched the Vols enough to say Jackal and Hyde, right?
Yeah.
Who are we going to get? Because could they?
Yeah. There's always a could they.
Could they?
Especially in the tournament.
But not just like a could they in the sense of like, hey, everyone has a chance, a puncher's chance or whatever. They've got the defense. And like we're saying, if the bigs can play, if they can make the shots, those are just three fundamental basketball things, right? Mm-hmm. If you can do those things well, limit the turnovers and create the turnovers like you did against Alabama they beat
the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
And they held Brandon Miller, again, the best player in the country in college basketball. Actually, the best player probably in the actual country. Shout out to Victor Wembanyama. Who have you seen this guy at all?
No.
Okay.
Great name though.
Great name.
Say it again.
Victor Wembanyama, Frenchman.
Victor Wembanyama.
He is 7'5".
Jeez.
And moves like a cat. Looks like Kevin Durant out there. He is the best recruit people have seen probably since LeBron James. And I'm not gonna lie to you. People have been. He's legit 7'5" and moves and shoots.
I've seen photos of this guy.
Yeah, Victor's incredible, but Brandon Miller is also incredible. He is exactly what you want every year, year in, year out. So if you're number 2 or number 3, you got a chance.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Also, let's hit up Gavin's comment up here top. The Tennessee. Yeah, let's see. Get a rebound and get puts off turnovers, and Tennessee can force those turnovers. We've seen that. They just have to score off those turnovers. That's the big part. Is sometimes they get these steals and they'll just go miss layups, or they'll go turnover or take a bad three, and you're like, "Damn, dude, just figure it out. Just go freaking score a layup," Figure it out. And that's the thing, is like, you do that. You go make these layups off transition. You're like, "Oh wow, you're up by 7," and it's hard to get back 7 points on Tennessee if you're not just a crazy volume shooting 3 team. And I will say, in both Missouri games, they just shot well, and they're a bad matchup. I don't really feel like Duke or Louisiana is a bad matchup for Tennessee. After that, we can get dicey. But Tennessee does have a okay path to the tournament to the Final Four. It's not easy by any means, but I don't know. There's going to be so many good games. Like these mid-major teams that won are going to be tough to beat. Like College of Charleston's going to be a fun one. Like those guys get buckets. Metrics don't love them, but they just freaking win games. They won 31 games this year. You know, guys like that. Furman beat UTC. Dadgummit. Virginia's not a very good team. You don't like watching. They suck, but they can swallow you up. There's just going to be a lot of fun matchups. Memphis FAU is going to be the best 8-9 matchup you've seen in a while. Oh, wait, besides the Illinois Arkansas game, which has like 5 NBA guys, they just wound up being underperformed. And it's gonna be wild because this tournament has so many lower seeds that could be top tier seeds, but we're probably still gonna wind up being pretty chalk. So that's the tournament. Every year I get really excited about it, and it winds up being pretty damn chalk.
What's who's your favorite to win it all, as far as if you're putting money on it? Have you filled the bracket out?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I will. Definitely.
I know some guys are like, no, we don't talk about it once it's put into the envelope.
No, I as much as I talked about them, I still think they're the best team. But I mean, not to go. That's super chalk. I know they're the number 1 overall seed, but I like their path and like the way they score. Another team that I really like, a fun high seed, but they really fell off the wagon as far as the talk goes because they're not as good as they were last year, but they don't have to be as good as they were last year. And that's Gonzaga.
Why was I going to say that? I knew you were going to say Gonzaga.
Because like they went from heavy favorite the last 2 years. They're not as good, but they still have one of the best players in the country in Drew Timme because he's like 70. They're just good enough, and they've got a pretty good bracket, but they're tough. That's going to be a really tough bracket at the bottom. UCLA lost one of their best players. It's going to be so tough to bounce back from. But Jaime Jaquez, Tiger Campbell, they're going to be so good. UConn's another one I really like. They're going to have to play Rick Pitino in the first round against Iona. If you want an over, I like that over a lot. Let's see another one. If Texas wouldn't have lost Chris Beard, but I still like them to make it to the Final Four. A few others just to bounce back. I know people love Marquette, but I could also see Michigan State beating them in the second round. That's another one that I like, the Sweet 16. If you've not heard, if you're going to fill out a bracket here, one of these 11 seeds that won in the last 2 days will advance. Every year it happens. So there's a little tip.
Statistically speaking,
it happens every year. One of those 11 seeds makes it to a Sweet 16 because they get that extra game. They kind of get the jitters out. They get to play, last night or tonight, and then they get to play on Thursday or Friday. So they've got the jitters out. They've got the bug out of there. The nerves of playing the tournament. They got that one game.
So you've got Arizona State. You're talking about Nevada.
Yeah. So whoever wins like the Arizona State Nevada game, but I really think it might be Pitt that comes out of there because you're talking about a team that probably struggled to get in the tournament. It's a Power 5 team, right? So they've got the talent. Like Pitt was a good team. Pitt almost won the ACC this year. It just kind of fell off.
It's just wild card weekend right there.
Yeah, basically. That's all it is. But then you're like, oh, they're going to advance.
Yeah.
Because they got that, they got that. Like one of these teams feels a little bit Bengals-ish Super Bowl year, because you're like, oh, shit, how did they make it? They just survived and advanced.
Yeah.
Another one that's the most up and down for me, if you want, you remember we talked about it last year, the formula is good guard play and one good big and to knock down threes, right? Your 11 seed NC State team is the team that does that you're like, they could get beat by 75 points in their first game, or they could make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And they have 2 great guards, especially Tarquavion Smith. These guys can get buckets. And I'm telling you, NC State is going to cause some trouble for Creighton because they're going to play this drop coverage stuff. And NC State can knock down pull-up jumpers. And that's going to be an 11 seed that can make a run. It was fun.
I forget her name. Is Sister Mary or what not making
Sister Jean? No, she gone, bro. They didn't make it.
I did see a photo of her.
She looking real low.
Well,
He's older.
Jedi Master Yoda looked pretty rough, but we know has value.
That's very true. That's a great way to look at that.
No, I'm just kidding, but she did look. Yeah, hopefully Loyola has a return in the near future. Do you want to talk about this dude?
I feel like it's been beaten, but
okay. I mean, I figured it was there because number one team in the country.
Yeah, we were going to talk about Brandon Miller, and I know everybody's talked about it. Did you see those shirts that went around Twitter?
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Saw it on a lot of people's Instagram stories and reactions and things like that. But I mean, yeah, we don't have to deep dive. I know people have beaten it, and it's shady, and it's all that kind of thing. And then here's what really kind of irks me: we can comment as outside fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that fan base, Alabama will defend that kid regardless of what was right, wrong, or indifferent.
It's incredible what a fan base will do.
I mean, Ohio State at times. I know other scandals have happened with teams, and it's like it's a human nature thing almost to be tribal and defend your group.
And I think that is one thing, and some people don't grow out of it, but learning to not overvalue a fandom is a big key to life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, it used to, like, when Tennessee loses, like it hurts me for like a day, especially football. Like, I mean, that's the one. It's like you gotta soak it in. Could
have won.
Yeah, it's one of those you soak it in for you got a whole week. Basketball is like a bounce back thing. I'm mad for like a night, it's not gonna ruin my life. Like, I get a little sad. Like a big one for me was Hannah's birthday weekend, but Carolina lost to Duke in like a shitty game. They just like missed layups, and you're like, we suck.
Yeah.
And once again, I know Tar Heels fans out there, we're struggling here, but we had the greatest run ever, and we didn't win a championship. So last year was a debt paid. 13 out, even though they didn't beat anybody good besides Virginia once. So it was a tough run to see Carolina not make it, and they didn't even take an NIT bid. Yeah. That was tough to go from like one of the greatest spiritual runs ever in a basketball tournament as a Carolina fan to not even making it this year was brutal. So
Steven Snutter asks you a question. Do you think North Carolina was wrong for turning down the NIT?
No. And here's why. That team, like, I legit believe last year was like almost a setback when it comes to the long term, but you'd never trade it. And that's fine. Like, that team wasn't good last year. They just got hot. They got great matchups. Brady Manick was incredible. We don't have Brady Manick this year. We would trade him for a Northwestern guy named Pete Nance. They weren't very good. They just got perfect matchups and ran it. And I think there was some higher powers that helped us beat Coach K. I think this team was really tired of playing each other. I think playing with each other. Caleb Love, potential high in talent, but he's a guy that's probably going to leave. I think there was some relationship issues. I don't know how much everybody loves this Hubert Davis project. This team was just in a tough spot, and they found out they weren't the greatest team in the world. And a number one rating was not well deserved.
Yeah.
So that's tough, man. That's tough. To go from like, what did you see the stat? They were the only number one team, preseason number one, to not make the tournament. It's like 76.
No.
Yeah. It's tough luck.
No. But I did want to talk about a couple other things, and we're getting close to our hour here.
Oh, this is a good one.
You can probably help me with a little bit with the news of this, of Memphis Grizzlies guard Ja Morant suspended 8 games for gun video. I know we were talking before we were recording about Alvin Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously today, who'd they sign? They signed Jamal
Williams
from the Lions, which makes you wonder what they're going to be doing with Kamara. But the violence, the video, I didn't see the actual video. You said it was not good. Yeah,
it was basically him in a strip club holding up a gun. That was the main thing.
Ja, or are you talking about Alvin Kamara?
Ja.
Okay.
The Kamara thing was him beating up a guy.
Pretty.
Yeah, and did you see Did you see more Ja stuff?
No.
Supposedly he beat up a kid, or
I heard about gun, like showing a gun.
Yeah, he was showing a gun in a strip club on a live stream on Instagram.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's it.
Interesting
Why
Yeah,
why do
that's where
kids
my head
yeah,
goes.
like what's up with this like John grew up in like a nice neighborhood with a good family and they've got to show out. Like, do you feel like those kids that are superstars now are so superstar because of social
Mhm.
that it causes you to have like create your own clout of toughness?
It to me, like in a human nature way, it feels like Jaws at that age where he recognizes the younger, like the power of the younger generation with TikTok, with Instagram, with some of these influencers being able to say this dude is trash. And I mean, think about all the groups within the world of basketball,
Yeah.
all the social media and YouTubers and all those things. Like that's a huge world, right? And so Ja coming out number 2 to Zion has
Yeah.
eclipsed him. What was it? Conversations for MVP in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Like he's legit, right? There comes a persona with that. I feel like you have to keep up and you have to do things and you have to be and there's the whole publicity like in the musical world, like Sam Smith going out there and making this demonic looking. It's like it's all planned. People like don't
Yeah.
lose your marbles too much, but that's when it gets dicey when guns and violence and like, hey, this doesn't do anything, and I don't know how realistic that lifestyle is because I know other basketball players and people and personalities have talked about the idea of, basketball players want to have so much influence and get into other genres of rapping and having that kind of like but the whole idea of this gang violence stuff, it's just we all know this stuff about like it's a terrible example, terrible model. But for Ja, like when you're going straight up and your stock is just, I mean, skyrise, like it's going hard.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like from the perception of a guy that loves this NBA, and I do like the culture is crazy.
Mhm.
Like it is not as a popular sport as football, but it influences football. Like I mentioned, like the free agency thing happened because of basketball.
Mhm.
Like the style, the player empowerment, like Lamar Jackson is rolling down. All this came from a lot of it came from like LeBron, like that whole decision and like the player empowerment. Like we are such stars, we are so influential, especially in the quarterback world.
Mhm.
All that stems from basketball, and Ja has so much influence because he is I don't want to compare it to like Jordan, but like as far as like the influence of a younger crowd, like Ja is special. The
Mhm.
athleticism, the youth, the MVP clout. I mean, like the Memphis Grizzlies were really good. I mean, he's got this potential to really go far as a personality, but I just don't understand why they can't like uh online a lot of these guys will go on like these old heads, not old heads, but these ex-veterans will be like, hey, why John just needs to separate himself from these bad influences. And
Mhm.
I just it's really crazy like how these athletes can't see that sometimes. And I know it's youth, like we were dumb.
But I get what you're saying in the sense that there's enough of those that have come before you to do the stupid things and the bad things for you to learn.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what the motivation is or the full context. But yeah, it's concerning. Like again, like you see a guy doing so well and then there's self-inflicted stupid decisions. But I know opinions being shared out here saying like he'll be back by the playoffs and things like that and
Yeah.
donate to a charity. Like I hope that he can get on the right track. I don't think there should be some huge, I mean, 8 games, but I mean, he's costing himself over $500,000, right? With no paying.
Yeah, no pay, and he took himself out for a while. So like he's gonna have the suspension, but he's been out 3 games, 4 games, like that.
Gotcha.
So I
But
mean, you're missing some time,
yeah,
and they need it. Like they need the West is getting a little tighter, and they need it. But that's a tough place because Memphis is still trying to be hard nosed. But the thing about like the grit and grind days, those were good dudes that were just tough.
hmm
Like this team's trying to be like fake guy tough in some ways. Like they're physical, like they're fun to watch, but they want to be like, we're gonna fight you tough. Like the old grit and grind Grizzlies were like, you don't want to fight us tough.
hmm
There's a difference there, and that is, and like that's the thing is this Grizzlies team is calling them, Dylan Brooks calling himself a dynasty, and Brooks was the guy that's getting in fights with Draymond, and Draymond's got a platform, and he's a 3-time champion. So it's like you're picking the wrong battles
Hey,
here, guys.
but if you look at it from like a promotional sense,
Oh, it's great for the NBA.
Genius. I mean, I'm saying for Brooks's stock. I know he's doing the villain, right?
Yeah.
I know his name because his stock.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing the game, and that's an intriguing thing. No, because I saw him in like he was putting his face on the ball with Draymond Green or whatever. That kind of stuff, the old 1990s, like guys throwing the forearm shivers, and like these dudes are it's not just theatrics.
Yeah.
The NBA is not that anymore, but I wouldn't hate it if it cranked it back up.
Yeah, it's weirdly enough, I was talking to somebody the other day talking about like how society's done such a good job, thanks to movies, shout out to Marvel, of creating unbelievable villains.
Yeah.
Like the best actors are your like Thanos, like let's go super nerd here. Thanos and Kang, and then whatever Jonathan Major's character is in the new Creed. Supposedly they're just incredible. Like
villainy as far as villain
like villains now are believable, and you weirdly like cheer for them over.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. Like
do you understand
like, wow.
Thanos? Like why he was saying what he was. It's like Dwight said, we need a plague, and ironically, we got a plague with COVID. But Thanos, I think that when they're believable, Loki, a great villain.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Joker, Bane.
Oh yeah, Darth Vader. I mean, you can go on the list.
Yeah, it's like the villains are like higher up, like in your mindset. Like the story is based more on them than it is almost on the hero.
But I'm wondering who's the most recent player to really do that well, to play villain, because
a little bit Draymond-y. Funny enough, and now it's kind of Brooks. I mean, Brooks is kind of taking over as a villain.
Was Kevin Durant ever that guy?
He had moments, but it wasn't like villain top.
I'd love to rank that and just be like, "Ooh, that guy played that," because it's all going heel. It's all WWE.
Exactly.
It's like straight up. I mean, Stone Cold went heel a few times.
Do you remember like the LeBron talk? Like, remember that was he almost like tried to embrace the villain, but he was so bad at it.
When he was with who?
Miami. Remember when he went to Miami?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
He's been around. There's so many chapters with LeBron, but yeah,
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
He and Tom Brady, like they changed the world of sports because of their duration.
Gavin Jones saying here, Tony Allen was a pretty good villain.
Pretty good, but Tony was such a good dude too. Like, I don't know. Like Tony was he was so physical and like he was the best defensive player. But damn, if that guy could score on offense, he would have been a better villain. He just couldn't score.
NBC Sports has an article.
Oh yes, there are some good ones here.
Best sports villains. Let's go from the bottom to the top.
All right.
And we're gonna
make
this our closer. All right, coming in at number 14. Is it the final? Yeah, number 14, yeah. Richard Sherman.
Yeah, especially Seahawks Sherman.
Don't ever come at me. Remember when his interview with Aaron Andrews?
Yeah,
made me DeAndre Jordan, Clippers number 6, obviously big man center.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think that one's much. He wasn't good at that. I mean, he had his troubles, but this is a good one.
DeAndre Jordan is not.
I would put Sherman ahead of him. Like, he had his moments. Like he was just so intimidating.
Gotcha. And Dominican Sue coming in at number 12. Dude stepping on people. Yeah. Most linemen have this signature move, but Dwight Freeney's spin or JJ Watt's bull rush. But Dominican Sue ever has turned personal foul into his speciality. We know what that means. But yeah, he's done it routinely. But here's what's creepy about Dominican Sue. You think in your mind this man would rip my throat out, and he doesn't give a damn. That's an intimidating thing about a player.
Yeah. Ooh.
What do you think about this? And you can pitch this one out here.
Floyd Mayweather. He is the greatest taunter that we may have right now. Like that dude can talk some, man.
The money team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think for him to be able to talk it and go out and do it and be that defensive boxer where guys just cannot hit him and cannot stop him. That's a great play.
Yeah.
Next guy coming up.
Alex Rodriguez. He really turned into a villain in New York.
He tried to turn back to the hero when the steroid stuff came out because he basically said, yeah, I did it. And there were other people involved. And I think he gave him the space and time to come out and confess. But
I do feel like there's a lot of guys that try to do the heel thing for a little while. And they're like, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
I think LeBron did that for a little while. I think A-Rod did that for a little while. And they're like, this is not for me.
Ooh. Number 9 here on NBC Sports list, Terrell Owens.
Ooh. You think it's the arrogance part of it, right?
I don't know about villain. I just think like,
Tool.
I mean, here's the difference between Tool and what I'm going to say. He was good at it, and he can back it up.
Yeah, I can give you
If
that.
you could do that, I'm just like, bro, do your thing.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I don't want to be on the opposite side of the field from him. I want to be on his team, being like, hey, calm down, bro. But he's remember him taking the ball to the star in Dallas?
dude was
Villainy.
he had some villain moments though.
Ooh.
Oh, that's true. Any referee or umpire that's ever called a game, especially right now, dude. I've never seen officiating this scrutinized.
Well, here's what pisses me off about referees. It's the bad calls, and then they defend it with conviction, and they will debate, and they'll go toe to toe with coaches. They'll do all that kind of stuff.
Did you? I think it's I think it was like a Division II game the other night. Did you see that pitch?
No.
Okay, so this guy's got one out. He's got one strike and two balls. Okay, first one like legit like hits the plate, like basically hits the plate, and the guy like quick scoops it, calls a strike, and everybody's like, "What? Like, are you shitting me?"
Oh yeah, the ref. Yeah,
yeah. And then the next one was this. I mean, just hard slider down, and like the catcher's like having legit reach for it.
Calls it a strike.
The umpire calls it a strike before he even makes it there. He's like, I'm getting out of here. He takes his hat off. He's gone. And I was like, that was the most egregious call. And they're losing it because, I mean, it was plain and obvious. He just wanted to leave. I can't remember what the score was. I think it was one of those like, hey, you're already getting your ass kicked. You're being an asshole.
Let's get out of here.
And it was atrocious. I mean, it was the two of the worst strike calls I've ever seen.
Well, like you said too, I mean, for right now, umpires, and this is where the XFL, I think, in case you haven't watched XFL, they're showing everything from audio from our booth guy to the field.
Yep.
Yeah, referees put them on the shelf. Luis Suarez, soccer player known for biting other players.
Argentina's finest.
Yeah.
Uruguay's finest. Sorry.
Being that dude.
I don't know enough about hockey. I don't know if Sidney Crosby was.
Sidney Crosby was that cocky kid, that Canadian kid that was just so damn good. And you just can't stop him. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Our very own Tennessean, former Vol, former Titan, Albert Hainsworth. That's one of the best villains, known to have also, like in Dominican Sue, stepped on somebody.
Yes. And he was vicious from what I heard. He was dirty. He was a dirty boy.
That's one of those. Boy. I don't want to know what happened at the bottom of those piles,
Yep.
And here's your point. Number 4, LeBron James.
Yeah. He really embraced it. All right. We're going to, I'm coming to you, Gavin. I'm going to check.
Yeah. Sorry, but we're going to run through these and we'll get comments and probably close it out.
Yeah.
Number 3, basically anyone who has played basketball.
That's a damn fact right there, baby. Christian Laettner, JJ Redick.
I'll say this. JJ Redick.
Wow.
Just put Kendrick Perkins and also Dame Lillard, his great little clip that he put on with JJ Redick on his podcast. JJ Redick's one of those guys because of not just the shellacking that he put on Kendrick Perkins, but the dude knows his shit, knows his stuff, but he's also just an intriguing personality. But yeah.
If you are a basketball guy, his Old Man 3 pod is really good. Like he's like Trey said, he knows his stuff, man. And this guy is very intelligent, and guys like him are great because he's made enough money. And if he gets fired from ESPN, his podcast is doing well enough. It's like he doesn't need it. JJ had a really good career, like was smart with his money, did things like, so he's set. So he has no obligation to be one of ESPN's pushers and fake a narrative. And so that's why he's able to call out guys like Kendrick. He's called out guys before, and guys like him are perfect for media.
So are you thinking these, like Kendrick are these his takes?
Did you see what Chad Withrow said after that? And I'm with him. Kendrick is a guy, he's a big personality, somewhat clout. I mean, he got on some championship run teams, and some people like really like him. Like they really like who he is, but I'm with Chad. I do not think he's a very smart person. I don't think he's a very smart person. I think he's a He's got some tough clout pushing moments. Like he'll always be like, yeah, I was the one that contacted Jaws group and they didn't reach back. You know, he wants to say I did. And it's like, dude, I don't believe you. And if you do, maybe you do reach out, but you don't have as much clout as you think you have. And that causes those issues. He wants to be a big name and he's grown. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But those moments right there are why we have guys like JJ Redick in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like low-hanging fruit for the sake of what was actually, I mean, statistically proven on their whole topic. But, I mean,
yeah, he got roasted.
Yeah, but JJ Redick, one of the guys what you love to hate from Duke. Number 2, Tom Brady. What do you feel about Brady now? Because for a while, it's like you cannot get past the guy.
Yeah, he was so good. And I mean, the New England thing, he was arrogant, but I don't think he was there. Like, I don't think he's number 2 on this list.
You think it's arrogant when someone does it, though?
No, that's why I guess it, like, I mean, I could see some people's point, but yeah, right now, Gavin, good point. Like, Aaron Rodgers is a good villain right now. Yeah.
Ready for him to be gone. Number 1, though, these are the guys that you love to hate.
It's the facts, bro.
Jose Bautista. What does it say?
The Houston Astros.
Yeah.
And that whole squad for like the last 5 years has been incredible.
Basically just cheaters. Is that what we're talking about?
We're just cheaters, and cheaters that admit it too. And they're arrogant about admitting it. They're not like, oh yeah, we cheated, man. Sorry. They're like, yeah, we cheated. We won a championship, bro.
Well, for a live edition, hopefully more to come.
More to come.
Dude.
We're moving back in April.
Yeah, pretty simple here, but I'm Trey Wynn. You can find me anywhere on social media. And again, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, make sure and connect with us. Follow us. In the description on YouTube, you can find all of our links, my links, Chase's link, find our Substack. You can read some articles there. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, subscribe, thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating, and audio listeners as well. Appreciate you. Make sure to leave us a 5-star as well. Chase, close it out, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Love yous, guys. Much apprecited. Yeah, we need all the likes, the shares, and reviews are big too.
Hit the comment too, because the comment will trigger the algorithm.
Yeah. Just hit that share button too. That's not hard. Just do it. It's not hard.
See you guys.
Love yous.
Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new